All right, welcome in, everyone. We're diving deep into the African fintech scene today.
Sounds exciting.
It is. We're talking about a company, Moniepoint. You know, they just hit the unicorn status.
Oh, wow. $1 billion valuation. That's impressive.
More than that, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so they secured $110 million in funding.
Seriously, that's a game changer.
Exactly.
Huh.
And that's what we're going to unpack. Their journey, their strategy, what this all means for the future of finance in Africa.
It's fascinating because it's not just about the money, it's about what they're actually doing with it. Moniepoint, their story is really a great example of how a company can thrive by meeting very specific market needs.
Right.
They started as team app, but honestly, you wouldn't recognize them today. They've evolved into this powerhouse. They're offering, not just payment solutions, but also credit facilities and even full-fledged banking services.
That's right. And it's not about trying to be everything to everyone. They have this laser focus on a specific segment. Those small and medium-sized businesses, those SMEs.
Absolutely. And that focus is really key here.
Yeah.
You have to understand, SMEs are like the backbone of so many African economies.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, they often struggle to get the financial services they need from, traditional banks.
Right.
And that gap, that unmet need, creates a massive opportunity for these fintech companies like Moniepoint to step in with tailored solutions.
Okay, so they saw a problem, built a solution.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Well, not quite. We have to talk about this Series C funding.
Right.
They secured.
Mm-hmm.
For those who maybe aren't familiar with venture capital, this is a big deal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a huge vote of confidence from some major players.
Absolutely.
You can think of it like a company graduating, but like graduating with honors.
Oh, okay.
They've proven their model works. They've shown impressive growth. Now they're ready to scale up big time, and investors they're lining up to be a part of that success story.
Yeah, and in Moniepoint's case, those investors, they're some of the biggest names.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about Development Partners International leading the charge here.
Right.
But hold on, we've also got Google jumping in on this. Verod Capital.
Oh.
And Lightrock as well.
That's a serious endorsement.
That's a serious vote of confidence.
Yeah. And it's not just about the money. It's the expertise, the networks, the deep understanding of the African market that these investors bring.
Oh, absolutely.
That's invaluable, for a company like Moniepoint as they set their sights on really ambitious goals.
Yeah.
Speaking of ambition, have you seen their revenue growth?
It's unbelievable.
It's something else.
$63 million in 2021.
Yeah.
To $149 million in 2022.
That's incredible. More than doubled.
It's more than doubled. They're not just surviving, they're thriving.
Absolutely. Moniepoint's trajectory, it really points to a much bigger picture here.
Mm-hmm.
African fintech is exploding. And it's drawing attention from all over the world. We're seeing this real shift away from those old school banking models, towards more agile, more tech-driven solutions.
Okay, so how are they doing this? What's the secret sauce? Let's break down Moniepoint's strategy here.
Okay.
And see how they've managed to capture such a big piece of the market.
Yeah, well, first of all, they didn't just stop at offering basic cash transactions, right? They understood that SMEs need more to grow. So they introduced loans. They created a really comprehensive suite of banking services, all very carefully designed with those businesses in mind.
Oh, so they're like a one-stop shop for these SMEs, helping them with all their financial needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then their second key move was brilliantly leveraging a network of individual agents as their touch points in local communities. These agents act like Moniepoint's ambassadors.
Right.
Building trust, understanding those local needs on a personal level. This gave them a really strong foothold, I think. So they started with serving individual agents, expanded to larger businesses, and built this solid foundation for growth.
So they started small, earned trust, scaled up.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And guess what? They're not done yet.
Oh, no.
Now they're aiming even higher. They're targeting large enterprises.
Really?
With their streamlined financial operations.
Wow. That's ambitious.
It's a bold move, for sure. They see an opportunity to shake things up for those larger companies. And with their track record, they're a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, so we have this ambitious company making waves, but But their story, it's part of a much larger trend.
Oh.
It's about how finance is evolving in Africa.
Right.
It's moving away from the old ways, embracing something new.
Exactly. Traditional banks are facing some serious competition from these nimble, these tech-savvy fintech companies like Moniepoint. And, the shift isn't just about technology. It's about empowerment. It's about giving SMEs more control over their finances, driving financial inclusion, and ultimately transforming how business is done across the continent.
It's like watching a whole new financial ecosystem emerge right in front of us.
Yeah.
And it's happening fast.
It is.
The African fintech market, excluding South Africa, is already valued at over $80 billion.
Wow.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's massive. Think about economies like Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, Tanzania. These are becoming like the hotbeds for fintech innovation.
Right.
There's a lot of excitement, a lot of investment pouring in, and the potential, it's just enormous. But here's a question I want to pose this to you. With all this activity, all this growth, what are some of the potential risks and challenges that Moniepoint and their competitors might face?
That's a great question. It can't all be smooth sailing.
Right. Yeah.
So what are some of those hurdles they might encounter on this path to becoming a financial powerhouse?
Well, for one, the competitive landscape is fierce. They're not just battling traditional banks. They're also going up against other ambitious fintech players like Numba and OPay.
Yeah.
So it's a crowded space, Everyone's vying for a piece of that pie.
Okay, so it's not just about having a great product. It's about standing out in a crowded market.
Yeah.
What else should they be prepared for?
Another big one is the shrinking profit margins in the payment sector. As competition heats up, and regulatory pressures mount, it gets harder to maintain profitability.
Yeah.
So they'll need to be smart about managing costs and finding ways to really differentiate themselves.
It's not just about growth at any cost. It's about sustainable growth.
Exactly.
And then there's always the kind of unpredictable nature of the global economy.
Wow, absolutely.
Right. Those macroeconomic uncertainties can really throw a wrench in things.
Totally. Think about Nigeria, their main market.
Right.
The macroeconomic situation there can be quite volatile. Factors like inflation, currency fluctuations, political instability, all have the potential to impact their growth projections.
Absolutely. Navigating those external factors, it's going to be a big test. But it sounds like Moniepoint, despite these challenges, they have like a strategic advantage.
I think so.
They've gone beyond just providing payments. They've become a full-fledged banking service provider.
Right. That's huge.
Yeah.
It sets them up for that long-term resilience, and it allows them to create value beyond what typical fintech offerings can deliver. They're not just facilitating transactions, they're becoming a one-stop shop for their customers, meeting all their financial needs in one place.
And let's not forget about the power of those investors we mentioned.
Right.
Having, DPI, Verod Capital, Lightrock, and the Google Africa Investment Fund, in your corner.
Yeah.
It adds serious weight to Moniepoint's ambition to really lead the way in African banking.
Absolutely. And, each of those investors brings their own unique strength. DPI, they have this deep knowledge of African markets. That's invaluable.
Right.
And Verod Capital, they have a stellar track record of driving growth in African companies. And then you've got Lightrock with their focus on impact-driven businesses. That aligns perfectly with Moniepoint's mission. And then, of course, you have Google with their vast resources and their ecosystem. They're opening up a world of possibilities. It's a powerful combination.
It is. It's a really impressive lineup, no doubt about it. They've got a lot going for them. But before we get too carried away, let's take a step back.
Okay.
We've talked about their strengths.
Yeah.
What about their weaknesses? What could potentially hold them back?
Well, one concern I have is their reliance on the Nigerian market.
Okay.
While Nigeria offers this growing market, it's also prone to economic and political swings.
Okay.
So, over-reliance on any single market could expose them to shocks.
So spreading their wings, diversifying, could be key to their long-term success.
I think so, yeah.
What else should they keep an eye on?
Another potential weakness is their relatively limited experience serving large enterprises.
Right.
They've proven their expertise in the SME space, but the needs and expectations of big corporations, they're different. They'll need to adapt their approach, demonstrate that they can really deliver at that scale.
Right. It's like they're starting a new chapter.
Yeah.
Even with all this success, they need to prove they can play in the big leagues.
Exactly.
Now, what about the regulatory side of things?
Oh, yeah.
Fintech is a highly regulated industry.
Absolutely.
And the landscape in Africa is constantly evolving.
It is. It's a critical point. Navigating that regulatory landscape is going to be an ongoing challenge.
Yeah.
They need to stay ahead of the curve, ensure compliance, and build those strong relationships with regulators to avoid any potential roadblocks. It's a lot to juggle.
It sounds like they have their work cut out for them. But they also have a massive opportunity ahead of them.
Absolutely.
It'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, definitely. Moniepoint's story, it's a really powerful example of the energy, the innovation happening in African fintech.
Right.
It's a story of ambition, of disruption, and, the potential for technology to really reshape financial services as we know them.
It's a reminder that the future of finance, it's not just happening in Silicon Valley.
Right.
Or Wall Street.
Yeah.
It's happening in Lagos, in Nairobi, in Accra, in cities across Africa.
Absolutely.
This is a story that's just getting started, and we'll be watching closely to see what happens next.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see where they go from here. It's really interesting how Moniepoint's turned what some might see as a weakness into a strength. We were just talking about their reliance on the Nigerian market.
Right.
But if you look at it from another angle, it's their deep understanding of this specific market. Right?
Yeah.
That's been a key ingredient to their success.
So it's not just about understanding, the numbers.
No.
It's about that local knowledge.
Yeah.
Those insights you don't get from market reports.
Exactly. They understand the needs, the challenges, even the cultural context of Nigerian businesses.
Wow.
In a way that a lot of these international players just don't. That local expertise has been crucial for building trust, gaining traction.
And they're not limiting themselves to just Nigeria, right?
No, not at all.
They've got their eyes on expansion across the continent.
Yeah.
Our sources mentioned their acquisition of Kopo Kopo, that Kenyan company.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That acquisition is a major signal. Shows their ambition to be a truly Pan-African player,
Right.
Not just a Nigerian success story. And Kopo Kopo, they bring valuable assets to the table,
Okay.
particularly in data analytics, micro-lending, areas that are critical for reaching underserved communities.
So it's strategic, this acquisition.
Yeah.
Not just about expanding their footprint. It's about adding new capabilities. But let's go back to these potential weaknesses for a sec. We touched on their limited experience serving large enterprises. How big of an obstacle do you think that actually is?
It's a challenge, but I wouldn't say it's impossible to overcome. Look at their journey so far. They've adapted, they've evolved.
Right.
They started focusing on those individual agents, moved up to serving SMEs, and now they're setting their sights on bigger fish.
Okay.
Those large corporations. Each step has required new skills, new systems, new approaches. It's like they're constantly leveling up.
So they have this track record of scaling up, tackling new challenges head on.
Exactly.
But what about the competition? We touched on it a little, but let's dig deeper.
Okay.
Who are they up against?
Right.
What are their strengths and weaknesses? This is where it gets really interesting.
Right. So on the fintech side, you've got companies like Nomba and Opay.
Okay, yeah.
Both making moves in Nigeria and across Africa.
Okay.
Nomba's known for its extensive agent network and its commitment to financial inclusion.
Right.
Bringing financial services to those who've been excluded. Then there's Opay. They have more of a platform play.
Okay.
They've got ride-hailing, food delivery services. They're aiming to become that super app, a one-stop shop.
Interesting. So they're coming at it from different angles.
Yeah.
Each with their own strengths and weaknesses.
For sure.
How does Moniepoint stack up?
I think Moniepoint's differentiator, right, is their deep understanding of that SME market. And their focus is on providing a truly comprehensive suite of banking services.
Okay.
They've gone beyond just payments. They've got loans, credit facilities, other financial products, all tailored to those growing businesses.
Right.
They're not just a payment processor. They're trying to become that go-to financial partner.
Like a trusted advisor.
Exactly. The one that understands the unique challenges and opportunities, of course, facing SMEs in Africa.
But they're not just competing with other fintech startups.
No.
There's a big elephant in the room.
Right.
Traditional banks.
Right.
Yeah.
Those established players are starting to wake up to the threat. They're finally starting to innovate, adapt, though they've got a lot of catching up to do. But they still have some advantages.
Like what?
Brand recognition, regulatory expertise, access to capital.
Okay, yeah.
They're not going down without a fight.
It's a David versus Goliath battle.
It is.
Playing out in the African financial landscape. Can these fintech disruptors, can they really topple those giants?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
The outcome is uncertain, right? I think we'll see a mix of competition and collaboration.
Oh, interesting.
Some traditional banks, they'll adapt, they'll thrive. Others will struggle.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see partnerships emerge, too.
Oh, okay.
Fintech companies leveraging the strengths of those traditional banks.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
It could be a win-win.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily this zero-sum game.
No, I don't think so.
Winner takes all.
No.
There's room for multiple players, but the rules are changing.
Right.
Now, let's go back to Moniepoint's funding round.
Okay.
We're talking about $110 million.
Yeah, a lot of money.
What are they planning to do with it?
Well, according to our sources, they're going to invest heavily in 3 key areas.
Okay.
Expanding their product offerings, scaling their operations, and entering new markets.
So growth, growth, growth.
Growth is the name of the game.
Can you give us some specifics? What kind of new products are they looking at?
Well, they're looking beyond their core banking and payment services,
Okay.
aiming to offer things like insurance, wealth management, even investment products.
Wow.
They want to be that one-stop shop for everything, from everyday transactions to long-term financial planning.
That's ambitious.
It's a bold vision.
What about scaling their operations? What does that mean in practical terms?
It means investing in technology, infrastructure, talent,
Right.
building a platform that can handle the rapid growth, meeting the demands of their expanding customer base, building a solid foundation for the future.
So it's not just about adding features.
No.
It's about making sure those core operations are solid.
Exactly. They have to handle that pressure.
And of course, there's the expansion into new markets.
Yeah.
We talked about Kenya.
Uh-huh.
Are they looking at other countries too?
Absolutely. They're exploring opportunities across the entire African continent,
Wow.
particularly in countries with large and growing SME sectors.
Yeah.
They see a vast market ripe for disruption. They believe their model is the key to unlocking that potential.
So they're playing the long game.
Yeah, I think so.
They're building a sustainable business that could reshape the financial landscape.
Yeah.
It's a bold vision. It'll be fascinating to see how it all unfolds.
I agree. They're betting on the future of Africa, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. Their success will depend on their ability to execute, navigate the challenges, and stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have?
Let's recap the key takeaways, just so we're all on the same page.
All right. So we started by highlighting Moniepoint's incredible growth,
Right.
fueled by their focus on SMEs, their commitment to offering those comprehensive financial services. They're not just a payment company. They're aiming to be their full-fledged financial partner.
Right. And then we discussed that broader trend, that booming African fintech,
Yes.
attracting global investment,
Yeah.
shaking up those traditional banking models. It's a wave of disruption, changing the face of finance.
Absolutely. We also looked at that competitive landscape Moniepoint faces. Those challenges from other fintech players, the established banks. It's a dynamic market, tons of competition.
Yeah. And we examined their recent funding round, that huge investment, and their plans to use that capital
Right.
for product development, expansion, entering new markets. They're pushing forward aggressively.
Yeah, no doubt. And throughout our conversation, we've emphasized the dynamism, the innovation, the sheer potential of this sector. This is a space to watch.
Absolutely. A space where the future of finance is being written. It's a story that's still being written. And the next chapter.
Oh, I think it's going to be just as exciting. But before we move on, let me leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
What role do you think fintech will ultimately play in shaping the future of Africa? It goes beyond finance, really.
Right.
It touches on economic development, social inclusion, technological advancement. It's about the future of the continent itself.
It's a question worth thinking about. We encourage you to explore it, to dig deeper, and to form your own conclusions.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this part of our deep dive. Stay tuned for the final part. We'll explore some of the broader implications of Moniepoint's story for the African continent and beyond. We'll be right back after a short break.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We've been looking at Moniepoint's incredible journey, their unicorn status, and their ambitions. But now let's zoom out a bit.
Right.
What does Moniepoint's success really tell us about the bigger picture, about the changes happening in African finance?
Well, I think Moniepoint's like a prime example, right, of how things are shifting.
Yeah.
For years, it was the traditional banks. They had a tight grip on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But fintech, it's changing that. And it's not just about the tech itself.
Right.
It's about access, empowerment, creating a system that's more inclusive.
Okay, so how is Moniepoint, how are they contributing to this shift? What's different about what they're doing?
Think about their focus, on SMEs.
Okay, yeah.
These businesses, they're essential to so many African economies.
Right.
But they've often been overlooked by those traditional institutions.
Right, yeah.
So Moniepoint steps in, they fill that gap. They provide access to capital, to those payment solutions, those essential services that were out of reach before.
So they're creating a more level playing field.
Exactly.
Giving those smaller businesses a chance to really grow.
A fighting chance.
Yeah.
And that, that has a ripple effect across the whole economy. When SMEs thrive, they create jobs, they generate wealth, they contribute to development.
Mm-hmm.
Moniepoint's success, it shows the power of that financial inclusion. And it's a sign of the changes sweeping the continent.
It's almost like they're rewriting the rule book,
Yeah.
making finance more accessible, more democratic.
Oh, I like that.
But what about the impact on individuals?
Hmm.
How's fintech changing the lives of everyday people?
This is where it gets really interesting. Fintech is reaching people who were shut out, excluded from that formal banking system.
Uh-huh.
We're talking mobile money platforms.
Right.
People can send and receive money, pay bills, access loans, all through their phones. It's putting the power directly into their hands.
So like bypassing those old brick and mortar banks.
Yeah. Giving people more control over their financial lives. And it's transformative, especially in rural areas, where access to those traditional banks is so limited.
Right.
It's about empowerment, financial literacy, opening up opportunities.
Powerful stuff. And Moniepoint's just one example, right?
Yeah.
Of the incredible things happening in African fintech. But let's be realistic. We can't ignore the potential downsides.
Sure.
The risks that come with this growth.
Of course. With any disruption, there are challenges. And one of the biggest, I think, is regulation.
Okay, yeah.
The landscape in Africa, it's evolving.
Right.
Striking that balance, fostering innovation, protecting consumers, it's crucial.
Finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Encouraging growth, but ensuring stability. What else should we be watching?
Cybersecurity.
Oh, right.
It's a major concern. As more transactions move online, the risk of attacks, data breaches, it increases. These fintech companies, they need to prioritize security, and they need to educate users about safety.
It's about building trust, right, in these new systems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, security is not the only challenge. Not everyone has the skills, the knowledge to navigate this digital world.
You're right. So bridging that digital divide, making sure everyone can participate.
It's essential. This growth has to be inclusive. It has to benefit everyone.
So there's work to do. There are challenges.
Yeah.
But the potential here, it's enormous. Moniepoint's story, it's a testament to that exciting future.
I agree. For African fintech, for the continent as a whole.
It's about innovation, resilience, that entrepreneurial spirit driving change.
And it's a story that's still unfolding.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, we want to leave you with that sense of optimism and a call to action. Right?
Yeah. Keep your eyes on this space.
Explore the innovations, the challenges, the opportunities. And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to be part of it.
Because the future of finance in Africa is being shaped right now. And everyone has a role to play.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.